Creativity doesn't have to be creating a movie. Creativity can be very much coding or programming.
What's been like a standout moment or a lesson that influenced your leadership style?
The hard money, and to make decisions both on that team and to see them as individuals, and then also have the business perspective in mind, always. I'm obsessed, I would say almost addicted to change. I believe that, the world consists of energies, and energy is in constant movement. So if we are not in movement, if we are not in change, we are moving backwards. The drive in the creative world is that we have more time spent on creativity.
How the human inside the company excels using AI is going to be the USP moving forward.
I don't believe AI is what's going to make your company stand out. What should drive your efficiency, so you have more time in those customer interaction where AI doesn't cut it, or that creative part where AI doesn't cut it. And that's my vision on how you should utilize AI.
Welcome to the Digital Customer Experience Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Paul. This podcast is brought to you by Kiosk, a leading SaaS company dedicated to driving measurable growth through exceptional sales, marketing, and customer success interaction. Joining us today is Hannah Kohlberg, a seasoned leader with a remarkable background in strategy, data, and market research. Hannah has worked across industries ranging from entertainment to retail, and now thrives in the telecom sector, combining her passion for data, technology, people, and creativity. She's also an advocate for driving impactful change and innovation. Hannah, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you very much. Excited to be here.
I've heard that you're passionate about horseback riding. How does your hobby help you maintain balance between work, or how does it inspire your work?
I think it's important to have something except work as a first thing that kind of balance you. For me, it's horses. I think horses and animals and nature pulls you in very strongly. And when you ride something that's 700 kilos, you have to be very much in the moment, right? You cannot think about something else or the work. So for me, horseback riding is meditation. And it also gives me inspiration, is that you have to be very clear with a horse. You cannot politely be like, maybe we can go left, maybe we can go right. That's going to end up very chaotic, and that could be dangerous for you. So I think leadership is what I take with me also. If you can lead a 700-kilo horse, you can also guide people in a really good.
Amazing. And I've heard from horse lovers, horse is therapeutic, if you're able to be with such a big animal and then that calms you, it kind of makes you feel like you're under control. Is it the same with leadership as well?
Yeah, it is. And I think also, I've been a leader for 10 plus years, and in the beginning, it's obviously scary, and you're very I think you're very in a very strict form. I'm a leader, I need to be this person. Same when you horseback ride. I need to take this horse forward. And I think over the years, in my horseback riding and in my leadership, I softened in a good way, bringing spirituality almost into it, and being much more in the moment.
Right. Okay. That's something that's very interesting, because over a period of time, you become a better horseback rider and you also become a better leader. Now, I want to know a little bit about how you bridge between different careers that you've done, for example, data, technology, and creativity. How do you put them together?
I think first of all, I think they go really well together. I think that's point out. I come from the data and strategy path in my career. I chose that, or it chose me very, very early on. And it's something that you can always rely on, right? It's always there in the background. It can guide you really well. And that calls for me. But I think you can also, it's nothing if you don't put it at use. And early on, I always felt very close to creativity. So if you take that insights, and in all of that you can bring with the data and strategy and can put it into creativity, I think you can go further and beyond, no matter what it is. And creativity doesn't have to be creating a movie. Creativity can be very much coding or programming, but it is to think to take the insight and then to think what it is and beyond that.
Creative people are usually full of ideas. How is Anna?
I'm full of ideas, but I think I'm also come once again back from the strategy and data. I have a very easy way to prioritize. And I love creative people. So this is not towards them, but I think like sometimes it's like a lot of fireworks that goes off, right? And that means we don't move forward. And in that, I think we need to have leaders that kind of helps them prioritize and saying, hey, 10 great ideas here. But based on the strategy and their data, I think we should go with this one now. You need to focus and kind of help them maintaining that focus to also execute and to see the impact.
This is a brilliant answer, because you being a leader, there might be someone who is new to the team or to the company, or like an intern who comes with a lot of ideas, and you know that either the idea is very good or the idea is like, oh, it's not going to work. But how do you tell your team members that this will work or this will not work without, when people are with ideas, when you put them down, they don't want to bring up the idea. How do you handle that situation?
I think like, first of all, we have to I love what you're saying, because everyone needs to bring the ideas to the table, right? That's what I'm going to make the company grow. I think we're a company tends sometimes to be a little bit stuck on the stock prices or dividend. I mean, all of that, very hard fact, but no growth is going to come if your employees doesn't come with their ideas. That's how we grow in a company. So you want to encourage them.
Yeah.
But I think you also need to have a very straight and like true dialogue about what ideas we can bring forward and not. Kind of, yes, take out the time, have your ideas. And from the start, we know we cannot bring all of them to execution, but we can talk about that. And we can have an honest and open discussion about that and guide them. But I think not being honest and true about that upfront, that's just going to make them demotivated. Because then we feel like we're not moving forward and we're not doing anything. So and I think we also had at my previous, where I'm at now, we had creative workshops. We work creatively. Nothing needs to come out of that. That can be inspiration. And then maybe 1 out of 100 ideas you can take and go with. But you need to be very honest. But I mean, still, this is a company. At the end of the month, we need to pay your salary. To do so, we need to have an income. We need to have growth. And to explain that to all, and also the creative part of the company.
Makes sense. You have worked in like diverse industries like entertainment, retail, and now telecom. What's been like a standout moment or a lesson that influenced your leadership style?
I think that came very early. I was lucky to have a manager that saw me, my potential, if you want to speak that. So very early on in my career, I had to have very hard discussions of people that didn't cut it. They were not performing. And that was, I remember the first time, that was daunting, right? And because it was crying and people were sad. But after maybe 1 or 2 of those conversations, I also learned if you present that in a good way, you can actually turn that person around. And I would say what I learned is from that conversation, once again, being very true, open, honest, and clear on the objective, those employees became the best ones I had in my team. They were absolutely bottom, but then that in that, and that's no matter what industry it is, right? It doesn't matter if you work in entertainment or, as you said, in telecom sector now, but having that warmth and still clear the objective, enabling people to drive their own change, that came very early on, and that was that moment for me, I think, in my leadership.
What a beautiful manager you might have had, like he or she, just telling the truth and paving the way for you to become a better leader. This kind of brings me the question as well, right? There are really good, or like what do you say, high performers, but there are very good team players who are average performers. So how would you motivate your high performer to be a good team player? How would you motivate your average performer, but a good team player, to become better? Because this is very, very difficult for a leader. How would you do that?
First of all, I think the team needs to consist of diversity. I think that's one of the things, right? If you only have a team of team player, no performers, That's going to be really hard for you, or the opposite. So that's number one. And that's your role as leader, to secure that. You need to make sure that that's your role. If you don't have that, you might need to be very honest with yourself and make changes in the team. But if you have that, let's assume you have both performers and team players. I believe that for Daniel to become a star, we should really emphasize your strength. However, we also need to, what's not your strength? So let's say you're a performer. That's what's going to make you shine. However, we need to understand that you need to keep a minimum level of maybe the team playing, right? And then we need to have a dialogue. Okay, what is that? What's that minimum level for you to be a team player? What do you need to contribute to, right? And then we need to have that discussion very hands-on and also follow up on that, right? So we need to make you should run to be that performer, and you should get all the high fives from the company. But we also need to understand what's your minimum level. And then the opposite for a team player, right? And with that, and then once again, the open dialogue around that, I think that's how you balance it.
Amazing. Usually, for example, you like a team leader, you're almost like a psychologist. You need to understand the dynamics of the team, the dynamics of the individual. What are their wants? How to motivate them? How to get work done? How to, get the team together? I think it's such a good place to be in, but also at the same time, very hard place to be in. So kudos to you for doing what you're doing.
And also, I agree. And the other part is to understand the business, right?
Yeah.
The hard money, and to make decisions both on that team and to see them as individuals, and then also have the business perspective in mind always. If you can combine those two, I would say you have all potential to be a really good.
Amazing. So now, Hannah, you've led very transformative initiatives, such as developing Telia's in-house AI tool, Optimus. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, I think maybe to get some background to me first around that. I'm obsessed, I would say almost addicted to change. I believe that, the world consists of energies, and energy is in constant movement. So if we are not in movement, if we are not in change, we are moving backwards. And that's really what that's in my head always. I'm like, we need to move forward. We need to improve. And for Optimus, which is an AI tool for our copywriters, we saw the need. We have enormous need of content due to that. We are also much more working on personalization, not having one customer interaction, one size fits all. And Daniel wants one thing and Hannah wants another thing. That puts the demand on content really, really high, and we cannot produce them in a manual sense that we have before.
Yeah.
So we need tools. We need to be in movement, and we need to utilize what's out there. And AI is one of, we utilize other tech as well, but AI is one of them to create copy. And the tool didn't exist. The tool we wanted, or I had in my, we as a team, we had it in our head, that didn't exist. So we had a fantastic core team with cross-functional people from the company, putting together 4 or 5 people and okay, what do we want from this business perspective? How would that work from IT? And so on. And we built Optimus that's now in use to produce our content at Telia.
Wow. Is it you can do it all languages, or is it?
And I would say translation at the moment, we are working for Telia Sweden, right? So it's in Swedish. However, adding languages is definitely possible. What you need to consider, it's not just to translating the word, but it's also to get the right tonality in. And that was also one of the reasons why we build it ourselves, both from a UI perspective. We're the customers in this case, and the UI that we needed didn't exist.
Yeah.
And UI is not just for me or its core team, it's for everyone working with content in Telia. So it has to be simple, easy and flexible. And then also, if we were to add Norwegian now, it's just not to translate that word because you want to have that tonality.
Yeah.
And what we've done is we have those guidelines. So we added those guidelines into the tool, into the backend. And from our perspective, that should improve the user or customer experience in this sense. It's not just to understand what we're saying. It's also that you feel Telia that is talking. That's one very important part of this tool.
It's amazing that how you could have like an in-house AI tool like Optimus. This tells like how you strive for efficiency. Efficiency is like becoming a recurring theme in your work, from shortening coding times to implementing tools like Optimus. What drives your focus on this optimization, constant need for getting things better?
I think, especially when you look at efficiency, I mean, time is a limited resource. We only have as much time as we have. No one can make more time. We can make more money, but we cannot make more time. So we have to guard and make the most of our time. And I think that's the underlying driving of efficiency. And then I think also from a creative perspective, I mean, we should not spend time on doing this. I call them monkey jobs. But what everyone can do, just typing stuff in, that's not going to make us the best, right? If we spend too much time. So the drive in the creative world is that we have more time to spend on creativity. And that's also with Optimus, right? We have many customers. Once again, we need to produce a lot of the content. All content needs to be good, don't get me wrong. But if it's a very simple, let's say a digital touch point where we need to communicate a price point and an offer, we should do that in a very clear way. Does it need to have the most creativity in it? No, I don't think that's where we should put the focus on the creativity.
So optimization is most important because you don't want to focus on something that takes so much of your time for so little outcome. You would rather spend on creating and innovating something bigger, which is like which tells like how your thought process is always on a bigger vision, not focusing on very
Yes.
little things that impacts on a very little level. That's amazing.
And I think also, especially if we look into AI, I mean, now we're talking AI from a content perspective. We can put AI in customer service, no matter where we put it. Everyone and every company can utilize AI technology today. And everyone should, and are mostly likely at least looking into it. So, I mean, everyone has access more or less to the same technology. Someone is running a little bit ahead. That means that the baseline is going to improve. So everyone is going to become better at the baseline. But since data or AI is based on data, basically, and I mean, let's face it, telecom is very similar. We have a little bit different data, but it's the same setup. It's not going to be where we stand out. Now, and I think that's also in my head. And it's also an important part of AI, especially bringing it into the creative world. That could be scary. Are you doing my jobs? Am I not needed? I'm like, you are always needed, but not for the monkey jobs, but where it matters. Like I don't believe AI is what's going to make your company stand out. What should drive your efficiency, so you have more time in those customer interaction where AI doesn't cut it, or that creative part where AI doesn't cut it. And that's my vision on how you should utilize AI, telecom or anywhere else.
I agree 100%. Like there's one of our guests who said this, AI will not replace you, but AI plus human will. So be that human who embraces AI and
Very much.
learns. I think it's very true moving forward, like because everyone is going to use AI. AI will not be the standout, as you said. It will be an integral part of every company. How the human inside the company excels using AI is going to be the US.
Very much. I 100% agree on that. I mean, once again, it's about that change and being in the movement. If you're not in the movement, no matter where you work in the company at the moment, and you are just scared of it, I mean, I can tell you this. If you work in an office today, your work will not be what it is a year from now or 2 years from now if you're utilizing AI technology. But will you have a place? Yes, 100%. If you follow that technique forward and just utilize it.
So there's a lot that we discussed today, but is there something people in your company, your industry, that might find something surprising or unexpected about you? Like overall in your career, is there something that people don't know that's very surprising or unexpected or interesting?
I believe I'm a little bit open book, to be honest. What you see, what you get. It's also my leadership style from that perspective. Um, but what I think is surprisingly is how addictive I am to change. I mean, I mean, even if I'm open about it, it could be one of those things where I can see in the people's eyes, like, okay, you should please calm down for a second. Please stop moving forward. Can we please enjoy this moment a little bit more? Uh, and that is a good thing, but that's also a challenging thing because I need to have a team with me, right? Doing so. So I think I've learned a little bit to pace myself better.
Amazing. And let's jump a little bit more into Telia now. So in your role at Telia, what trends do you see is shaping the future of digital customer experience, specifically to telecom?
I think what we need, I mean, at least in Sweden, I would assume like telecom industry is a very commodity product at the moment.
Yeah.
Internet is not just for a few; it's for everyone. And we have a very hard. I mean, we're not the sexiest product, to be honest. We're not the cool phone. But we are the back end that makes it work. That's a very challenging position. And what it creates, at least in the Nordic, is become a little bit of sea of sameness. Everyone tend to kind of have the same offers. When someone increases price, everyone increases price, and then that helps. So it's really hard to stand out in the telecom industry. And I don't. I mean, if I'm trying to be positive, I think now there's a momentum for companies such as Telia to utilize their strength, its data, to create a better customer experience. And that could be one of the things that actually makes us stand out going forward, if we do it in the right way. Yeah. I mean, it's everyone, our competitor has the same opportunity, obviously. But we know that it's challenging to be a telecom customer today, right? Yeah. And also and I would say, like, digital touch points, obviously, we are a digital company, and to improve them further on, no matter what you need support in, if it's to sell you something or to guide you, if we can do that well and kind of make the interaction with our companies better, that could be something that really helps us going forward.
I agree. And Telia is, like, as you said, like digital first, right? So how do you ensure a seamless integration between digital first strategies? And there are some people that still wants traditional customer touchpoints. How do you make this integration seamless?
First of all, I don't think there's a conflict between these two things. I think going back to that, I mean, digital first, but then we have those occasions when it's nice to talk to someone because it's so complicated or it's not heard of or something like that. It might not surprise you what I'm going to say next, but it comes down to the data again, right? We need to have that. And it's also with AI. Nothing's going to work if we don't have in the back end a structured way of working with our data. Yeah. Then we add layers in our contacts with our clients, but you are still the same Daniel, no matter if you're going to try to chat with us or you log into our website or you have a customer service person talking to you. Yeah. We should be able to offer you the same things. We should know all of your interaction with us. And that comes from a solid data foundation.
Yeah. Just to touch on the point of AI and automation, you're the queen of AI and automation, playing a big role in Telia. How do you balance these technologies, new technologies, with maintaining human touch? Because not so many people, or even the guests that I've spoken to, people are afraid of this AI. Yeah. There needs to be a balance. Like, how do you do this? How do you introduce this to people? How do you convince them, okay, this is the future?
It's a very good thing. I think one of the key success factors here is that the development of AI cannot sit on the side of this company. It could not be an AI team that comes in and should drive those type of innovation. It needs to sit at the core of the business. So for me, it sits with me because I work with content. For customer service, it sits with customer service. Because only then we can develop it And I think we should not do it bombastically. We should just take it bit by bit. So that's how we did with Optimus. We implemented bit by bit, but it was also working. So our employees can see what from the start, oh, I can get something out of this. This makes sense, right? And same for customer service or wherever we utilize this technology. At the same time being here, it's not a matter of if we should do this. It's just a matter of how we should do this. So you need to have the leadership again. It's not a question of if, it's how, but the how we need to develop within the core business.
So moving forward, like telecom industry will face some sort of adoption with AI strategies or AI-driven strategies. And how is Telia staying ahead with regards to this AI-driven strategies?
Well, it's to be honest, I would say it's a question for our top management. But from my perspective, once again, it comes down to priorities. Like what makes most sense and how fast do we get it out? We shouldn't, and we don't have the time to sit and develop AI in a little cube over here. We need to put the AI where it works from the start, because that's going to drive efficiency. That's going to save time and money to keep investing in other parts of the company. And I think, not knowing how everyone else is doing, I mean, we have taken that approach from an overall governance perspective, that we have a steering group and we look at all the initiatives that have going on to prioritize them next to each other. And I would say that's very important. And without limiting, I mean, the ideas can still come, right? But the prioritization and utilization needs to come from an overall perspective in the company.
Yeah. And I kind of heard in between certain things like energies, spirituality.
Yes.
I kind of feel like, you are this person who's thinking about the future in a very positive way, which brings me to the question, looking ahead, what major shifts do you think would redefine the telecom industry in the next 5 to 10 years?
If we look aside from, I mean, obviously pricing strategies and so on has a huge impact in our industry, and that's sometimes a little bit hard to predict. It depends a little bit on the ownership and so on in the telecom industry. But I will stretch a little bit and remember, this is my perspective, but I truly bring back to that customer perspective. Can we make the customer, first of all, understand our product? Second of all, to be seen. We know you, Daniel. We know, like, don't worry, you're safe with us. We have you. And I think, to be honest, it's not that we don't have that ambition, for instance, at Telia, but we need to utilize the techniques and humans to make it happen. That if someone does that really, really well, because at least in Sweden, the telecom industry is not really highly ranked as a customer experience on the customer experience list and trends that we get. So if someone really makes a difference, makes something that stands out in that sense, and is not on the list or is on the high-performing list of that customer experience, that could be a really big shift for a company or a telecom company in Sweden today.
I think that's very, very true, very aspirational. And that, because telecom is, as you said, is no longer, everyone needs it. Like everyone needs this. And if that part has the best customer experience, imagine like how it's going to change your industry. I think it's one of the best answers that I've heard, because it's true. And it's what the industry needs. And because we are also a company that helps in customer interactions, we completely know and feel, and we work with Telia, and we know how important this touch point is for Telia. So thank you for actually addressing the most important point and telling that's what you're going to see the change in Telia in the next 5-10 years. I have another important question. Let's say you're a leader now. You had a very good manager. So you had a good pathway to become a better leader. For leaders that are aspiring to drive change now, what's that one piece of advice that you would give navigating innovation and transformation successfully? Because you always look for innovation and transformation. What would your advice be?
One is very hard, but I will try to keep it to a minimum. I mean, the first one is to find that person, though. that you feel that that's not your North Star, especially if you're in the beginning of your career. If you, I would almost like stand out and say, like, if you don't have that where you are, and it could be someone outside of the company, right? But if you don't have that, you need to move yourself into that position. Don't wait for that person to come to you. You need to have for you to be a good leader, you need to have a good leader, right? That it really is a very important part. And the other part is know your values, know what you stand for, and that's a little bit of almost soul searching. It comes over time, but go into that, because if you know that, then that means you can lead with honesty and clarity.
Yeah.
So that would be my two advice.
Love it. Hannah, it's been an absolute pleasure. I want to ask a last thing, a very, very important thing. What excites you the most about your current role and the impact you're creating at Telia?
I'm provided with much freedom to develop as long as I show results. And that means I can really do what I drive it, right? I can drive the efficiency, I can lead. And in that, I know not just me, but my team can have a great impact on customer experience, on sales, on brand for Telia.
Hannah, thank you so much for joining our podcast. You have given us a lot of amazing insights, experience, and a wonderful way to look at things, to adopt transformation and embrace the change. It was a pleasure having you, Hannah.
Thank you.
To all our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Digital Customer Experience Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and check in the description for links connected to Hannah and Telia and all our work. So this is Daniel Paul signing off. Until next time, keep inspiring and stay curious.